Hello, I'm Dr. James Carter. I'm 60 years old this year, and after more than 30 years of working with patients over 50 across the United States, I've witnessed one painful truth. Most severe strokes don't begin with loud warning sirens. They begin with very small, very quiet signs. I will never forget one of my patients, Mr. Robert, 67 years old. He didn't come to see me because of a headache. He wasn't paralyzed. He simply said, "Doctor, lately I keep dropping my spoon while eating, and sometimes my vision gets blurry for a few minutes." I thought it was just aging. 2 weeks later, he was hospitalized with an ischemic stroke. Have you ever thought like he did? That blurry vision is just age. That unsteady walking is just weak legs. That choking while eating is just a stomach issue. We often reassure ourselves until our bodies force us to face the truth. Today, I want you to take a few minutes for yourself, not to feel afraid, but to understand. Because when you recognize the early signals your brain is sending, you can protect your memory, your mobility, and your independence in the years ahead. Let's talk about 4 early stroke warning signs that many people ignore and that you may have already experienced. Now I want to start with the first sign, and honestly, this is the one most often overlooked. Sudden blurry vision, difficulty seeing clearly for a few minutes, then it goes away. Sound familiar? One of my female patients, Susan, 64 years old, once told me, "Doctors, sometimes license plates in front of me look hazy, like there's a thin fog over my eyes. But it only lasts a few minutes, so I didn't pay attention." And that right there is the problem. When reduced blood flow affects the part of the brain responsible for vision, the optic nerves don't receive enough oxygen. Your brain doesn't feel pain, but it is starving for oxygen. And the only way your body can signal this is by making the world in front of you appear blurry. I want you to imagine this. If you lived in a house where the electricity kept flickering, the lights don't go out completely, but they blink again and again, would you say everything is fine? Of course not. Your brain works the same way. Many people over 50 tell themselves, "It's just dry eyes, it's just fatigue, it's just aging." But I say this to you with all my experience. Sudden blurry vision that happens repeatedly without a clear reason is never a small issue. It's even more dangerous if it comes with light dizziness, mild numbness in the arms or legs, or slower speech. That's not aging. That's your brain whispering a warning. And I want you to remember this. Strokes rarely strike without warning. They usually knock on the door, very softly, very quietly, before they break it down. If you've ever had moments of blurry vision, even for just a few minutes, take it seriously. Let it be a reminder to check on your brain health. Because vision can recover, but brain damage often cannot. Now I want you to pay attention to the second sign. It's not loud, it's not painful, but it is extremely dangerous. Weaker grip, dropping objects more often, strange clumsiness in your hands and arms. One morning, Michael, 70 years old, told me, "Doctor, lately I keep dropping my coffee cup. I can still hold it, but it feels like my hand doesn't listen to me anymore." He laughed while telling that story, but I didn't. Because when the area of the brain that controls movement starts receiving less blood, the signals from the brain to the muscles slow down. You may still have strength, but the fine coordination between your hands, eyes, and brain begins to break down. Let me ask you, Have you ever fumbled with your keys and needed several seconds just to get them into the lock? Have you noticed slight handshaking while holding a spoon or dropping food? Have you felt that your handwriting isn't as steady as before? Many people tell me it's just age-related tremor. It's just fatigue. It's just stress. But here's the truth. Aging slows you down. It does not suddenly make you clumsy. When clumsiness appears quickly, happens repeatedly, and feels different from before, that's when you must listen to your body. Your brain is like an orchestra conductor. When it loses rhythm, the entire body starts playing off beat, not loudly, but gradually, subtly. And if you ignore this slight imbalance stage, the next stage may be paralysis, loss of independence, and inability to care for yourself. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to wake you up, because keeping your hands steady today means protecting your independence tomorrow. Now I want to talk to you about the third sign. And honestly, this is the one that worries me the most every time a patient tells me about it. Difficulty swallowing, choking easily when drinking water. That strange feeling that food is going down the wrong way. One of my patients, Linda, 68 years old, once told me softly, "Doctor, lately I keep choking when I drink water. I've had to sip more slowly, more carefully, but I thought maybe my throat was just getting weaker with age." But swallowing is not just a throat problem. Swallowing is a complex neurological process controlled by the brain. Dozens of small muscles in your mouth, throat, and esophagus must work in perfect coordination every second. When blood flow to the brain begins to drop, that delicate coordination starts to break down. You can still eat, but it takes more effort. You start coughing when you drink water. You feel a slight tightness in your throat. You avoid taking big sips. Now imagine this. If you're driving a car and your brakes respond half a second slower, you can still drive. But are you really safe? Difficulty swallowing works the same way. It doesn't knock you down immediately, but it places you in serious danger. Because when food or liquid enters the airway instead of the esophagus, you can develop aspiration pneumonia, and in people over 60, this can be life-threatening. Many people tell me I just eat slower. I avoid cold drinks. I've gotten used to it. But your body doesn't send warning signals so you can get used to them. It sends them so you will take action. If you or someone you love begins choking when drinking water, feeling food getting stuck, or noticing swallowing isn't as smooth as before, especially when combined with blurry vision, clumsy hands, or dizziness, this is no longer just a digestive issue. This may be your brain sounding an alarm. And I want you to remember this. Being able to eat and drink normally is not just about survival. It's about quality of life, safety, dignity in aging. And now, I want to talk to you about the fourth sign, the one many people call a small problem, but is actually a loud warning bell. Unsteady walking, feeling off balance, tripping or stumbling, even on flat ground. One of my patients, Harold, 72 years old, once told me, "Doctor, I'm not very dizzy. It's just that sometimes when I stand up, I feel slightly tilted, and the first few steps don't feel stable." And he thought what many people think, it's just aging, it's weak legs, it's my joints. But here's the truth. Balance is not controlled by your legs alone. It is controlled by your brain. Your brain constantly receives signals from your eyes, brain, inner ears, and muscles to keep you upright. When blood flow to the brain decreases, this system begins to lose rhythm. You can still walk, but every step becomes less stable. Now imagine this. You're walking across a narrow bridge, just a small shift, and you could fall. For people over 60, a fall is not just a bruise. It can mean a broken hip, loss of mobility, loss of independence, and for many, it becomes the beginning of an irreversible health decline. If you've started to notice that you need to hold on to furniture when standing up, feel unsteady, even walking inside your home, or walk slower because you're afraid of falling, don't call this normal, because your body is telling you your brain is no longer in full control. And I say this with the honesty of a doctor who has seen too many strokes. If you recognize balance problems early, you may prevent the biggest fall of your life. Before we end this video, I want you to pause for a moment, not to keep watching, but to ask yourself, in the past few months, have you had moments of blurry vision? Have you dropped things without knowing why? Have you choked while drinking one? Have you felt less steady on your feet? If the answer is yes, even once, I want you to understand something important. Strokes rarely arrive like lightning. They usually come like the tide, slowly rising, quietly, step by step. And the most painful thing I hear in my career is not a diagnosis. It's this sentence: I wish I had gone to the doctor sooner. I wish. Two words that cannot turn back time. You've lived long enough to know this. Health is not something to gamble with. Your independence, your ability to walk, eat, care for yourself. These are the greatest assets of aging. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to remind you you still have time, but only if you take action. If this video helped you recognize something about your body, take it as a message of care, not a threat. And if you are over 50, if you want your next years to be healthier, sharper, and less dependent on medications, I invite you to stay with me. Click subscribe and turn on notifications, because every week I share simple, practical, real-world health knowledge to help you protect your brain, your heart, your memory, and your quality of life. Don't wait until your body has to scream. Listen while it's still whispering. I'm Dr. James Carter. Thank you for taking time to care for your health, and I'll see you in the next video.